You open the fridge, there's nothing there. So what's it gonna be? Greasy pizza? Sad drive-thru burgers? Dish by Blue Apron is for nights like that. These are the pre-made meals of your dreams. At least 20 grams of protein, no artificial flavors or colors, no chopping, no cleanup, no guilt. Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Ed, how you doing? Are you still riding high on the crest of the FA Cup semi-final buzz?
Yeah, something like that, but you've totally ruined it by completely failing to understand how aggregate scores work.
Yeah, I know, but I just mean, I guess I should have said combined score. Yeah, so briefly, let's talk about Bournemouth away, a game that clearly did not feature high in... Listen, it was high enough in the priority. If you want to know where Mourinho put this as a priority fixture, Matteo Darmian played. I forgot all about Matteo Darmian.
Well, he came on the end of the game against Spurs as well to secure United's victory.
He did. It was a very functional performance away at Bournemouth, not troubled at all by Eddie Howe's swashbuckling cherries. Just pretty dominant, calm, assured performance. Excellent from Paul Pogba. I thought it was very kind of significant role in that game. I'm telling you, I'm struggling to remember the goals. Oh yeah, Chris Smalling scored. That might be one of the reasons. See, Chris Smalling forward.
Smalling scores almost every week, isn't he? Our top scorer this year or something.
He said he was making a late push for top scorer, which I thought was funny. And then Lukaku came on as a sub and scored a really nice goal. That was the one with the Pogba through ball. I remember that goal. A touch from Martial to Pogba, Pogba through ball to Lukaku, and a lovely lifted finish from Lukaku, who I thought Pogba's ball was slightly overhit, but it was absolutely perfect weighting.
Yeah, how many has he got for this? Something like 26 or 27 for the season now, Lukaku. It's become a very fruitful season for him. He's got another 10 for his country as well. So hasn't quite got as many as Mo Salah and Harry Kane, but I think you could say this is a very successful first season, although another way of thinking about it would be to say kind of expect it for that kind of money, I suppose. But another fine goal. He's got plenty in the last... apart from that sort of middle portion of the season, he's been scoring freely most of the campaign. And you're right, decent performance from United. One curious thing I thought, Mourinho made a lot after the West Brom game and said many of these players won't play, and made 5-6 changes for the game against Bournemouth, and then basically went back to the same team that lost against West Brom for the game against Spurs. Clearly it worked. But it was an interesting message, wasn't it? None of you lot will play, except you all will.
Apart from like 2 of you.
Apart from Lindelof.
Lindelof and Mata.
Yeah.
The front 3 of Lingard, Martial and Rashford. A lovely front 3 to see, and a front 3 that we can daydream about when Martial's off in the summer. Lukaku's got 16 in 32 starts and 1 substitute appearance in the league. Fascinating that he's had 32 starts in the league. But he's also got 7 assists, which is a healthy chunk. That makes 23 direct goal contributions in 32 starts and 1 half an hour substitute appearance. Another 5 goals in the Champions League, and 5 in the FA Cup. And then it's not bad, is it? So it's a really good return. And Pogba starting to get up there in the assist numbers as well. I think into double figures for assists in the league. Something that we haven't necessarily been able to take for granted in recent years, that we would have a player who gets to double figures for assists.
Right. But I thought he was rubbish. I'm confused about this.
5 goals and 10 assists in the league in 22 starts. So basically, there's only been 7 games that he started. I know it hasn't quite worked like that numbers-wise, but still.
No, and I think a player whose talents could definitely do with scoring more goals than that. I mean, he's good enough to be getting over into double figures in terms of goals. I mean, I think Nani had one season where he got 15 goals and 17 assists or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing as an attacker that season, effectively, wasn't he? Which Pogba has not done for much of this season, playing as part of a midfield too. But yeah, it's interesting to compare the data with the narrative, isn't it? They don't always tally up. But yeah, anything else of note about that Bournemouth game? Fine goal from Lukaku, Chris Smalling, football genius.
Yeah, as always, Phil Jones comeback did very well. Herrera was pretty good as well, who he has been over the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's nice to see. We'll talk about him more when we talk about the semi-final, of course. But he made 5 tackles against Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's almost inevitable that Phil Jones will be absolutely brilliant and then trip over his own toe or something like that the day before the FA Cup final and injure himself.
Luke Shaw was allowed to play football against Bournemouth. Got to have a little go
and
at
you know what?
pretending
He
he's a
kind of
professional
completely
footballer.
spoilt the narrative by not helping Manchester United to lose, because obviously everything bad that has happened this season is all his fault.
4 tackles attempted, 4 made successfully by Luke Shaw. Some good tackling. A player that I'd completely forgotten about came on as a late substitute. One Daley Blind returning to Manchester United action after a long injury layoff.
Yeah, important to get him in the shop window, I guess.
Tackles attempted 3, was dribbled 3. Oh, obviously, the data doesn't fit my narrative in that. No, I mean, you'd think that he's going to be off. He's got to be, apart from maybe Matteo Darmian, you'd think that Daley Blind has to be. Oh no, I guess, does it go, is it Shaw, Blind and Darmian? Are they the top 3 in most likely to be off in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, they're all off, aren't they? Surely.
We'll have to buy a lot of fullbacks if this happens.
Unfortunately, we're a bit creative, so I'm sure Mourinho doesn't like that. So Martial, Pogba and Mata after that.
All right, so Bournemouth was fine, dominant performance, well done, jolly good show. Kind of important after the West Brom game to bounce back in that way, and certainly important for United's league position and to not create any kind of late season wobble, which could see us having to seriously contest with Spurs and Liverpool for third place in particular. And as we said last week, you said Mourinho's made quite a thing of finishing second, so that's important. But clearly, the star of the show of this week's football, what I thought was, in the end, a really, really impressive semi-final performance from Manchester United as they get themselves through to a second FA Cup final in 3 years.
Yeah, it was a very complete performance from United. I mean, it's not complete in the way that, I don't know, Manchester City beating Swansea 5-0 was complete. It was tactically complete. Mourinho did the thing that Mourinho is best at, and he picked a team and a system and an approach that negated the opposition's strengths very, very effectively. I thought, Spurs passed the ball nicely for 20 minutes, didn't they? Something like that. And then United muddied up the game, I thought, in midfield very effectively. It wasn't super pretty all of the time. Scored an outstanding equaliser. And then Mourinho balled it up front to get the winner, and then completely in control at the end. I mean, it never really felt that Spurs were going to get back into this game.
So let's start at the start then. After United had a very early spell in the game, but then Tottenham really took over, and crucially, or what seemed crucially at the time, they made that dominance count with a very fine goal from them. United's left side hugely exposed, Young caught upfield, Pogba not tracking back quickly enough against Eriksen, and maybe not quite switched on to just how dangerous Eriksen's positioning was. A fine ball, I think, from Sanchez out to Eriksen, and then an absolutely gorgeous ball from Eriksen to Dele Alli, who stretched well to finish. And at that point, I don't know about you, but I was thinking, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, they beat us quite comfortably, didn't they, in the league? And it was a beautiful opening goal. And at that point, they were on top. Them passing the balls nicely. Great movement up front from that sort of front four: Eriksen, Ali, Son, and Kane. And yeah, it looked like we were in big trouble. I don't know whether I'd blame Pogba for not tracking back. In the 4-3-3, I don't know if it's exactly his role. Is it his role to cover the left back? He
was the man. He was the man in the zone, right?
Yeah. Does that give Sanchez a free role? I'm not sure about that. But anyway, it's one of those things that United have to be mindful of if that's the system they're going to play. I mean, you often in a 4-3-3 will have a spare man. The opposition will have a spare man. Particularly the crossfield switch causes a problem. And in this case, it wasn't that. It was a really nice ball down the channel from Sanchez to Eriksen, but you can have a problem in wide areas in 4-3-3.
Yeah, and I don't think our Sanchez has any blame to carry in that because he was up the pitch pressing the action in a way. So like Sanchez and Young just caught up pitch and a big hole left behind. And I'm not saying it was like terrible defending from Pogba or anything, but he was the man in the frame. So Spurs kind of had they had the ball into Kane at the back post. I think maybe Son's ball into Kane, which Kane just couldn't quite stretch to get onto the end of, fortunately. And then the Dyer shot, which twanged off the post. But De Gea did not have to make a meaningful save, I don't remember, for the rest of the game. And even when we were 2-1 up right at the end of the game and starting to feel really nervy about Tottenham snatching one at taking it to extra time, I was kind of thinking, well, we haven't seen one single wonder save from De Gea, so the balance of probability would suggest that if they do get a chance, he will save it, because you normally can expect at least one of those a game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought United were very effective at spoiling Spurs' approach in midfield, It was effectively 3 versus 2 in central midfield. I mean, obviously Ali's there to make up a 3 for Spurs, or the other sort of wider players as well. But they weren't able to get hold of the ball and cause United the kind of problems that we saw them cause in the league game.
No, and United were able to cause Spurs big problems when Pogba just brushed aside Dembele like he wasn't there.
Oh, and Dembele just shrank from the game after that, Yeah. He got bullied by Pogba and then he didn't want to play anymore.
He's off to China.
It's a bit of a severe reaction to getting a schooling from, Paul Pogba, but yeah, all right.
The thing about that goal, for me, that's one of United's goals of the season, just because it features Pogba beating off Dembele, who is like a player.
Steady on,
Oh no, come on. Oh, all right, I'm staying that again.
Oh, no.
For me, that's one of the goals of the season for United, because it features Pogba easily winning an individual duel against Moussa Dembele, a player who's been compared unfavourably to, and then immediately you see what is so special about him, because the quickness of vision and execution of the ball that he put in for Sanchez, that ball had to be absolutely perfect. He picked out the 5'7" man at the back post in space. A very good run from Alexis and a marvellous header from Alexis for sure. Took all the kind of power off the ball and directed it really neatly into an area that keeper had absolutely no chance. So wonderful technique from Alexis, but just Pogba, the absolute architect of that goal. Yeah,
and exactly the kind of thing we want from him when he's playing in his preferred midfield role, I guess. So I did Mourinho take credit for Pogba's performance after the game? I can't remember now. He might have done.
I actually, the BBC cut away from their coverage really quickly, so I haven't seen any post-match stuff whatsoever. I've got no idea what Mourinho said in the aftermath of that game. Maybe that's why I feel so good right now, because I haven't listened to Jose Mourinho talking for a week.
Yeah, he said the players need to educate themselves. I kind of thought that was the coach's job, but yeah, apparently not.
Wait, he said that after the cup final? After the cup
final? Yeah. But he was talking about consistency of performance. It may be one of those language things, or it may be just Mourinho being a bit of a shithouse. Talking to shithousery, another fine performance from Ander Herrera, who 5 tackles, including one where he was on the ground and managed to grab the Spurs player by the boot to stop him taking the ball away.
That was the one that Valencia got booked for, right?
Right.
A second later. Slightly fortunate to get a booking for that, I thought. It looked pretty vicious, that tackle.
Yeah. Nah, it's fine.
Herrera made 3 interceptions as well, but I was starting to get really frustrated with him on the ball. Like, he gave the ball away quite a lot. In fact, there's a feature of United's performance, partly because we're playing so direct, but I think only Jones and Smalling exceeded 90% pass completion in that game. Like, we were pretty profligate when the ball was at our feet.
Look, this was a game in which United did the Mourinho thing of spoiling the opposition's patterns of play, and then profited from a pretty simple. I mean, the first goal's outstanding. That's based on the brilliance of the pass and the brilliance of the header, and the second goal's route one into the channel, flick on from the big man, little man on the third man run strikes it home.
I mean, kind of. It goes out wide to Alexis first, doesn't it? And then Alexis kind of dinks the ball into Lukaku, who's miscontrol. Looks like it's going to Lingard, but Lingard with that kind of very quick awareness to step out of the way and let Herrera take a shot straight at the keeper.
Who dived out of the way, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, games are often won and lost in the details, but Mourinho is the manager above all that is looking to win games in the details and not in the sort of pattern of play. Like in a sense, Guardiola is absolutely the antithesis, because he's a manager who doesn't really care about the details. You kind of feel that, and this is an exaggeration, but almost feel that Guardiola would like to win games in terms of the style of play, not in terms of the number of goals.
Winning the expected goals important to Pep Guardiola. 1.4 to 1.4, a draw in the expected goals in this game. So I was quite surprised that Spurs' was so high. It's a sort of cumulative effect of quite a lot of long shots, I think. But like I said, it didn't feel like their XG was so good in that game. And United, of course, all season have relied on exceeding expectations for expected goals, and they've done it consistently enough to make it be a pattern.
And in the last few weeks have managed to pull out those results against direct rivals that weren't coming along in the first 18 months of Mourinho's reign at Old Trafford. Beating Spurs, City, Liverpool and Chelsea recently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge, especially in the kind of super clutch moment of a semi-final. By the way, the Rantcast drinking game, if people play it, it's going to kill them, because not a week goes by without the Jose Mourinho as a manager who relies on the details. Like this is like the Wayne Rooney bashing of 2018.
Hey, look, that's not bashing. It's a fair observation on
no. Sorry,
his style of management.
I don't mean it relates in terms of content. I mean it relates in terms of frequency. Please don't misunderstand.
But it's proven out every week. This is
clearly.
Yeah, Mourinho looks for the mistakes and the weaknesses in others,
and it was really effective against Tottenham, who, at some point, you would think that Pochettino's Tottenham are going to overcome their Tottenhamness, essentially. I mean, that's an overgeneralisation, but another FA Cup semi-final defeat for them. That is 8 in a row in terms of the semi-finals they've been to in the FA Cup, and 2 in 2 years for Pochettino, whose team is clearly better than any Spurs team. I mean, I don't know about you, Ed, but I'm pretty sure it's the best Spurs team I've seen in my life. I guess the Modric-Bale team's got a shout there, but
it's a very, very good Spurs side,
but they can't get it done.
They can't get it done in terms of winning a trophy, and I don't know whether that's the thing that you have to judge Pochettino on. He's working on a budget that is significantly less than any of the other big clubs. and they are still overperforming. But then when you look at that 1-11, it's a very talented 1-11, and all teams will be remembered on the basis of what they win.
Do you know why Vaughan played instead of Lloris? Is it just an FA Cup thing? You just giving Vaughan the cups?
Yeah, and thank you very much, Agent Mo, if you're turning up in the summer. It won't be. But yeah, Vaughan managed to dive out of the way in the winning goal. Amazing.
Yeah. Lovely all-round scenes, a brilliant. I've watched loads of video and stuff from United fans. Looked like a brilliant day out. I was quite jealous of not being at the game, and just another trip to Wembley, another win for United. I can't remember when the last time we lost at Wembley, not against Spurs in the league, which doesn't count, was. It feels like it was a long time ago. It's probably 2005 or whatever, right? No. That Chelsea final. But anyway, oh, no, it was the City. Never mind, shush, forget it. That never happened. Yeah. But yeah.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Sorry, but FA Cup semi-final, under Van Gaal final, Community Shield, League Cup, now FA Cup semi-final. And now the big question is, will we win the next one? Chelsea versus Southampton went the way that you would certainly have expected that game to go. And we've been doing well against our direct rivals. But my goodness, if there was ever a game that was won in the details rather than the pattern of play, it was the somewhat smash and grab home win against Chelsea the other week. But their wheels seem to have slightly come off their season. But you'd imagine that bunch of snakes will get up for a game against Mourinho.
That's no way of talking about Herrera. Yeah. Look, it's going to be a fascinating FA Cup final. I don't think I'd be really surprised if it's a really pretty one. I don't think United are going to play like that. I'm sure Mourinho will look to spoil Chelsea's patterns of play by trying to take some of their best players out of the game. No doubt about it. Its entertainment value will be increased, of course, because Mourinho and Conte seem to hate each other. It's going to be Conte's last game as Chelsea manager, which will add to the narrative somewhat. I mean, look, if you think Manchester United's players are frustrating this season in their inconsistency, then I'm sure Chelsea fans are equally, if not more, frustrated about the absolute frauds that they have representing their club at the moment, because they just turn it on when they feel like it. Big games, perhaps when they're behind a little bit, for about 60 minutes against Southampton in the league game 10 days ago or so, they were an absolute joke. This was a bunch of Chelsea players staring at their shoes, wandering around like petulant children. Then they decided to play a little bit, and of course they turn up for the semi-final. So we'll see whether they turn up for the final or not.
I mean, yes, I'm sure they will turn up for that final. The most Chelsea fans that I've heard talk about it seem to be saving their opprobrium for the manager rather than the players. Conte's extraordinarily peculiar approach to the season, whereby it's mostly just seemed like he was trying to get himself sacked so he didn't have to resign and he would get a big payout. Yeah.
Interesting how that happens over and over again at Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Mourinho will want to get one over on Chelsea, but also he'll want to... I mean, one thing I think we can be pretty sure of is this is not going to be Jose Mourinho's last game as Manchester United manager. Win or lose, I can't see...
Oh, no, for sure. And although interesting what he said today, this is Monday, which is United won't be spending big in the summer, paraphrasing here. We're just going to fix a few things and add to the squad. I mean, given that we know 3 players, Shaw, Darmian and Blint are definitely going, we can probably assume Fellaini's going. He still hasn't signed a contract, so unless United come up with the big bucks to pay for that useless lump, he might go too, and Michael Carrick's retires. So really that's 5 replacements, even before you factor in the fact that Mourinho is so thoroughly pissed off Anthony Martial that he's desperate to go and may or may not be trying to push Pogba out the club. So just the 7 changes there then.
No, Pogba's not going anywhere. That's my prediction. Martial, on the other hand, I think might, but I don't think he would be needed to be replaced in the squad. I think there's ample... I think that's the problem, really, isn't it? There's too many players in that position. What's the deal with Mata and Herrera's contracts? Have either of them signed new contracts? Don't they both run out this year?
No, I mean, they triggered the 1-year extension in both of them. So it got till 2019 on both of those. But still, they need to sign them up soon. Otherwise, they'll be running into the last year of their contract next season.
I mean, I wonder whether that'll be something that happens. You know, I wonder whether whether there will be new contracts for one or both of those. I'm not sure. It's inevitable that there will. It depends on direction that the club takes, I guess. I mean, didn't he say something about United not spending crazy last summer as well? And then we bought Romelu Lukaku for 75 million and Matic for 40.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, there'll be a little bit of headroom in the wage budget, presuming at least those three go and maybe more. And Michael Carrick's wages come off, Fellaini's wages come off. So there's plenty of room for spending, and United's free cash flow production is pretty healthy at the moment. There's good stability around at least the next 4 years. In terms of revenue production, United, it looks like have basically have qualified for the Champions League. So, there's no reason to think that United don't have a good budget, 150 million-ish, plus whatever's brought in. Really depends on whether the ruling powers that be are prepared to sign that off. And whether we have any agents who are friends anymore, since we seem to have thoroughly off Raiola. Is Mendes still a friend, or is he only spending for Wolves these days?
I think we got a message from someone. There's a few Raiola players still at United, including Sergio Romero, who's a Raiola person. What's the word? Player?
Yeah. I mean, there's Pogba and Romero. Lukaku's switched. And, we'll see.
Yeah. I think that it's perfectly plausible that Mourinho says we're not planning to spend a fortune when what he means is we're planning to spend 150 million because that's sort of just normal par nowadays. That doesn't count as spending a fortune anymore, really.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in now. And talking of the world we live in now, one of the things that exists now is the world of social media. Oof. And I wonder whether the Rankcast automated tweet has produced results in the form of Twitter questions from the people.
What are you talking about, automated tweet? It's my fair hand at work, crafting exactly the same message at exactly the same time each week. It's pretty impressive. Consistency.
Yep.
That's why they call me the postman. They don't. You
don't have to educate yourself about consistency, do you?
No, that's right. I consistently fail to do this properly. But, the world of if this, then that has come to my rescue. Otherwise, I'd totally forgotten to do this. Phil Hartup at Level 2 Rogue says, Mourinho's beaten the top teams in the league and got us to yet another final. What else does he need to do to win over the doubters? I think this one's for you, Paul. If not, why are we here? #Rankcast.
Listen, the thing about the doubters is I'm not sure. I mean, what he really has to do to really win over the doubters is win the league. Like that's the Mourinho bar. If he leaves Manchester United before winning the league, his Man United career will ultimately not have been. Can't really ever be considered a success.
No, that's right.
But
And look, there'd still be a crowd of his acolytes prepared to rationalise that, City are spending so much it's impossible to catch them late, etc., and so on. But no, I think that's the bar for Mourinho. Especially it's the only bar, right? Because at no point are United ever going to be playing any kind of revolutionary form of attacking football. There was a story did around this week that the United board believes winning football is entertaining football.
I mean, that's, there is some truth to that you do tend to go away reasonably happy if the team wins.
Joey Mangini at JoeyM_UX says, what are the chances Mourinho's halftime talk consisted solely, this is at Wembley, of lads, it's Tottenham?
It seems a little bit unlikely because that would involve him not talking about himself for a full sentence. I forgot to say during the last answer, hi Phil, miss you. But yeah, no, I mean, I put Lads It's Tottenham in the group chat immediately on the full-time whistle because I was not prepared to do it before. But watching that second half, you did really think Lads It's Tottenham quite a lot.
Well, they got very Spursy, didn't they? Spurs in that one.
Did.
Do you think Mourinho talks about himself in the third person when he does half-time team talks? You know, they come in at half-time and he goes, Mourinho is not happy.
Jose's not happy with you. You are not working hard enough for Jose. Jose will punish you afterwards.
A whole bunch of questions along the lines of Stephen Roberts, Stephen DR91, who says, why are the performances so inconsistent? Beat City and Spurs, lose to West Brom.
It's so odd. I mean, partly, this is just a thing that happens in football. If you look at the 2012-13 season, which we all look at with glorious misty-eyed, United were profoundly inconsistent during the 2012-13 season. It's just that they were good enough and earned enough points in games that they didn't deserve it and all that kind of stuff and had long enough stretches of consistency. But football is inherently a game which has inconsistencies in it, but it does feel a bit extreme this season. Although, under Louis van Gaal, we played some of the best football for a 3-game spell any of us could remember for a long time, and then the rest of it was utter drudgery. So it's not unique to Mourinho, this.
A whole bunch of other people asking that exact question. But look, surely United have got to... Surely Mourinho can find a way to make sure United's... I don't know whether it's approach, mindset, I don't know, whatever it is that is causing United to lose to West Brom at home or Huddersfield away and drop points against teams that they clearly should be beating. Something has to change there. I mean, United haven't got as many draws as we did in the last season, I don't think. Off the top of my head,
I don't think it's even close.
No, right. So there's that's been a big leap forward. The next level for next season, in order to at least push for the title, is to make sure United beat those teams they should be beating. I mean, let's hopefully City don't go over 100 points because that would be one of these things we never stop hearing about. But they're going to end up in the late 90s or the early hundreds this season. Mourinho said this week that if City get the same amount of points, it'd be impossible to catch them. And that's probably, look, it sounds a bit moisy, that, doesn't it? But it's probably also true. Historically, it's true. I don't know if United have ever got more than the low 90s. Maybe 92 is the best ever for a United team. So got to aim for that at least. And that would be a hugely consistent season.
So 2 things. One, the level of consistency this season is vastly improved over last season. 123 drawn 5, lost 6 so far this season. Last season, 118 drew 15, lost 5. We drew 15 games last season. Like, we haven't drawn or lost combined 15 games this season. I don't think we're going to by the end of the season. In fact, the only way we could is by losing or drawing every game left this season. So we are way improved in a consistency in terms of consistency, and the performances haven't been there. There have been notable dips. One thing I thought worth mentioning: Herrera so hard, towing the party line so hard after the FA Cup semi-final, because in his post-match interview he said, very important that we don't get carried away after this, which is exactly, of course, what Mourinho said was the reason that they played so badly against West Brom, because they got carried away by the City game.
Carl Ikeda, Ikeda KM, asked, is Herrera the opposite of a flat-track bully? He seems to perform well in big games, but doesn't dominate against lesser opponents.
It's Ander Herrera's Manchester United career is an absolutely baffling mess of inconsistency. Yeah. I would love to see some sort of empirical data that tracked his performance levels. It would just be a graph that bounced up and down all over the place. I'd love to see if there was a pattern like that.
There's a whole bunch of indices, the Euro indices or the Squawka index. You can go do that. If you believe in that kind of approach to measuring performance. So, yeah, look, I think it's frustrating because he had a really good season last season, and I guess we kind of expected him to do that again. I would say that he, although he came to the club as a more attacking player, he's now been transformed into a more destructive all-round player, right? Not a pure defensive midfielder. And he probably shines in those games where he's putting a few ratters in, isn't he? And sorry, a few reducers in and being the ratter in Big Ron speak, and making a few tackles, and that seems to stimulate him to be a bit more dynamic generally.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because both in the Tottenham game and like last season, his standout performance against Chelsea, you're exactly right. The defensive work does seem to inspire him to greater feats going forward, because he got an assist and a goal in that game against Chelsea when he absolutely spent the whole game chasing Eden Hazard around, and against Spurs, like we said earlier, big numbers defensively and the absolutely crucial goal.
Yeah, right. So a couple more. Chappie Graham says, if we had to lose either Rashford or Martial, which one?
I mean, the problem with this question is we're just going to lose one of them, so I'm having to it feels to me like genuinely at this point, it seems like a long shot for Martial to be at United this time next season. I mean, no, at the start of next season.
Would we? So there's another question related. Matthew _Taylor 9 says, let Martial out on loan, bring Douglas Costa the other way. Well, I never really kind of believe in that sort of football transfer bingo. Douglas Costa is a decent player, but never really hit the all of the heights that perhaps his very early reputation said it would do. Although a talented player, but it's the first part. Is it Sale is the only option with Martial because him and Mourinho are just never going to see eye to eye.
But if you're him, I mean, I guess if United kind of draw a line in the sand and say we're definitely not selling you under any circumstances, then maybe. But if you're him, don't you prefer a permanent move away to somewhere where you can build a career?
And right now, if I was him, I'd pick the same. I'd be looking to move.
Yeah,
for sure. He's never going to get a consistent starting spot under Mourinho because he's not going to do all the things that Mourinho wants of him.
And there were extended periods of this season where that looked like maybe we weren't going to be able to say that anymore because he was starting pretty much every game for a good long spell there, and then we signed Alexis.
Yeah,
sad times. I mean, also good times.
A few questions along the lines of Little _Inches. What do you think of the alleged proposed ticket price? I don't think they're alleged. The ticket prices for the cup final. So yeah, I mean, they depending on the price category, it's around about 80% more expensive for the cup final than for the semi-final for an equivalent ticket. Which they did last time United. No, I think they do this every year, so it shouldn't be news really. And I suppose the FA could say it's market forces. There's a huge amount of demand. Of course, they do an excellent job of restricting supply as well by giving each side about 8,000 tickets each in a 90,000 capacity stadium.
8,000?
Or whatever it is.
I mean,
it's not much, is it? It's less than half the total of the stadium.
All right, so less than half of the total of the stadium goes to supporters of the two clubs?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So more than half of the stadium is filled with neutrals?
Yeah.
Oh,
and corporates.
My goodness, I didn't realise that. I mean, I'm sure that's not the case at semi-finals, you would imagine. I mean...
No, exactly.
Of course, it's exploitative and stupid, but yeah, it's absolutely market forces. The FA Cup semi-final is nowhere near the showpiece event that the FA Cup final is. There's just completely different. I mean, in a way, the FA Cup semi-finals just shouldn't even be at Wembley, as we've talked about. They're a different thing. They're a big deal to the teams involved in that game. But the FA Cup final is a big deal much more broadly than that. So that's why. But of course, it's outrageous. And it seems to me that the numbers, like I was saying to you before we started recording, that I remember there being a big hike in the price of tickets between the semi and the cup final 2 seasons ago. But it does sound like this one's even bigger.
Yeah. Okay. So I may have done the FA a small disservice here, just checking up. I think there'll be about 50-something thousand total tickets to the teams involved. All right. FA, I apologise. I got the number wrong there. You're only shafting some Manchester United and Chelsea fans, not all of them. But look, this has long been the case that a huge amount of the cup final go to Club Wembley bondholders and corporate sponsors and local FAs and some allocation to every team that ever took part and so on. So it's unfortunate that it's not the People's Cup final, even though it's, marketed as the People's Cup. And the prices are sky high because the FA need to make revenue, because they have this huge white elephant of a stadium they've got to pay for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's clearly the case, and that's why it's happening.
So, at 5PKN2FLXFORKCFS.
We're sure this is a real person?
It may be a Russian bot.
Yep.
If we fail to win the FA Cup, how badly will it reflect on our season as a whole? It's definitely not a Russian bot, because we know that Mourinho is tight with the Russians.
I don't think it reflects that significantly. I mean, you kind of ask yourself the reverse question in a way. So if we win the FA Cup, does that mean this has been a brilliant season? No, it means we're all going to be delighted at the way the season ended. And really, the season, I mean, it does make some difference, but even if we lose, then the season is still, we got to an FA Cup final, came second in the league. Like, there's a substantial drop-off between that and winning the FA Cup, but it's not make or break for whether it's been a good season. It's been a mixed season with good points and bad points, and the exact breakdown of good points and bad points will be affected by that sort.
Yeah, trophies do define seasons, though. So if United win nothing this season and come second, and City win the league and the League Cup, win the league by miles and miles and miles, and the League Cup, it's not going to feel good, I'll tell you that. It's going to feel a hell of a lot better if we go into the summer having won a trophy.
Yeah, okay, fair point.
And on that point, Andrew Hardiman says, is the FA Cup final remix ready for the last pod of the season?
Do we have an FA Cup final remix?
I don't know, but we better have one.
Tom, I think that seems to be a question for you.
We'll do. Tom will produce one of his specials, I'm sure. Yeah. Very good. Well, that's questions for this week. You missed the whimsical ones, you said.
Yeah.
No one sends me the whimsical ones because they know I don't want to read out questions about whether a boy or a shark's going to swim faster.
No, that's not the question. It's, will there ever been a boy born who can swim faster than a shark? Also, would you rather fight one duck-sized horse one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Have you revised your answer to that question in the years since we've addressed it, Ed?
Absolutely not.
I've got a question for you, a Rankcast question for you that I thought of. If you were a young up-and-coming European manager this summer, this is stolen, by the way, from a different podcast, the Touchline Fracas podcast, which I very much recommend and I really enjoy. But they had a question in which I thought was brilliant. Would you rather manage Arsenal or Chelsea, assuming both these managerial jobs will be vacant?
No, it's interesting, this one, isn't it? Because you'd instinctively say Arsenal, thinking they might be a bit more patient, because Chelsea, you're not going to get a season to fail. But you've got an absolute mess of a squad there.
Yeah.
But maybe I was going to say, and maybe you get the difficulty of coming in after a successful manager, but he hasn't been successful for a long time. So maybe that'd be all right. Maybe they'd all be relieved, the players, and thankful of getting a new man in.
Yeah,
they are now a mid-table club, and they have to punch above their weight. So it's set up for Moisey, this one.
Yeah, cut from the same cloth as Arsene Wenger, in that they're both massive losers. Nah, come on. I don't know the answer to the question, because Arsenal would be patient, and you'd think the infrastructure at Arsenal is really solid, and dealing with Roman Abramovich must be a total nightmare, or more likely dealing with Abramovich's people now, it seems like. So
yeah, but Arsenal's become a really political club as well. This is not the club that David Dean was running when he appointed Arsene Wenger. There's factions amongst ownership. There's factions in the board. They've brought in a director of football and a technical director. I can't remember what the exact job titles are now. Over the last year or so, they're trying to produce a structure that will keep them sort of keep the ship steady after Wenger goes. But it does mean there are all sorts of factions at the club. So be interesting. I don't know whether they could appoint a young manager into that role. I think that that might accelerate the decline.
We are going to do some bonus content talking about Wenger, so I might touch on some of this and how the parallels between this transition and Fergie's, and whether actually some of that is probably maybe about Arsenal learning from United's mistakes, or at least trying to. Not that the two transitions are in any way comparable, other than length of time and amount of influence within the club of the person in charge, because Ferguson, I don't know if anyone remembers this or not. Well, funnily enough, both Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson combined to win the league in, you know, people say Arsene Wenger hasn't won a league since 2003, but he sort of won it in 2013, didn't he, by giving us Robin van Persie. Cheers.
Yeah, very good.
Merci, Arsene.
Yeah. I mean, there's one school of thought that says Arsenal have a younger squad than when Moyes took over. At least that's Moyes' school of thought. I mean, because none of it was his fault.
Listen, Alex Ferguson said he'd left a good balance of ages in that squad, and he had. Anyway, so we've got... Oh, talking of Arsenal, what a happy accidental segue. Who are we playing next weekend? I hear you all ask. Why, it's Arsenal themselves, I hear you respond. Wenger's
managerless Arsenal at Old Trafford on Sunday.
Wenger comes to his farewell tour at the scene of, I guess, one of his proudest moments, but also what surely must be one of his most utterly humiliating. What do we expect from this game?
Well, it's a dead rubber in many ways, isn't it? I mean, United are going to finish second, I'm sure. You know, got 3 points and a game in hand over Liverpool now. Liverpool have a couple of big ties coming up to concentrate on as well.
There's 12 points left to play for, though, isn't there? So, you know, because there's 4 games left of the season, right? Have I done the maths right, or is it just 3? Yeah. So that's, I mean, I guess they've only got 9 points left to play for, and we've got 12 left to play for. But don't want to be like taking this too casually, do? Because I mean, I guess we're playing Brighton away, Watford at home, and I can't remember what the other fixture that United have got is. Let's have a look. So let's say Watford at home is a gimme, although we said that about West Brom. Oh, West Ham away on a weekday night. I don't know. I fancy the Moiseiah to get one over on his hated betrayers.
Yeah, well, that'll be the one game of the season where West Ham fans actually unite together.
Arsenal have just beaten West Ham, although they took their time about getting in front in that game. It's fair to say.
Yeah, that's right. What's going to happen in this game against Arsenal? You know, I find this one really hard to predict. I mean, they got a bounce at the weekend, didn't they? You know, Arsenal eventually winning comfortably. In Wenger's sort of long road to departure. I'm sure in his final game at Old Trafford, he's going to be well up for a good performance from his team. But this Arsenal team has blown mostly has blown mostly cold this season. It's clearly a team on the decline. Wenger's, the rat jumping out of the sinking ship.
Come on, have some respect for an old man.
I was going to say have some respect for the rats, there.
Right?
You know, at least they knew what they were.
It's like when Guardiola was annoyed at Raiola calling him a dog because dogs are nice. Have some respect for the dogs. He said. I mean, crucially, of course, this game, you mentioned Liverpool having big ties, but Arsenal have got a massive tie, and I guess some of this game will depend heavily on what happens on Thursday, because they're playing Atletico Madrid in the first leg of the semi-final at home on Thursday night. So if Atletico beat them 5-0, I guess they'll go all out to try and beat United at the weekend. But there's every chance we'll see players rested and all that kind of stuff. Is it Aubameyang that's cup tied? Maybe I think Aubameyang might be cup tied from the Europa League, but generally speaking, you'd imagine Arsenal will have their minds on other things rather than this game.
Yeah, for sure. You know, this is the Europa League represents Wenger's last chance at glory.
Mm-hmm. Never
before he's sent off to retirement or an international job.
Never won a European trophy.
No, that's right. 24 years since Arsenal won a European trophy. Not quite that long since they won the league, but, near enough.
Yeah.
Rounding up to the nearest decade.
No, they haven't won the league for a long time. Arsene Wenger just gets a little part share in one. But yeah, so from a United perspective, I don't see any reason why this won't be an absolutely full-strength side. I wonder whether we might see exactly the same starting lineup that played against Tottenham. I'm trying to think if there's any natural tweaks. Interesting that Jones and Smalling were chosen as the kind of first choice centre-back pairing for that game, and they justified their selection. They were absolutely excellent in that game.
Yeah, look, it's a different game though. You wouldn't expect Arsenal to come to Old Trafford and dominate. Although, of course, Mourinho's happy to have control without the ball, as he had put it. So, but still, this is a mediocre Arsenal side, one that's fighting it out for 6th and 7th with Burnley, versus the team that's second in the league. We should be dominating them.
Yeah, especially given that I guess it'll be their second string. But even so, I think there's nothing to say that we shouldn't be playing Matic, Herrera and Pogba in the centre of midfield. Back four is obviously going to be a back four and likely the same back four. So then it's just about exactly the balance of the front three. And I guess you could say, okay, you bring in Mata for Lingard if you want a bit more, if you're expecting us to be on the front foot a little bit more. But it's not like Lingard is shabby on the front foot. And he obviously does all that running and stuff, which Mourinho will clearly love. Oh, lovely moment after the game where Jesse Lingard was FaceTiming with fans outside the ground. So Jesse Lingard's in the dressing room and a friend of his is with the full-time Devils lot. And Jesse FaceTimes all the fans and everyone's dancing and jumping around. Very, very, very nice moment. If ever there was a player who gets it, right? I mean, that's kind of thrown around, that term. But my goodness, Jesse Lingard gets it.
Yeah, no, he really does. In an age of players and fans being very distant, I think he deserves a lot of credit for his attitude.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what else to say about Arsenal. We've got to beat them, surely. Go on, give Wenger one last humiliating send-off.
I guess the thing that we can definitely expect from this game is that Jose Mourinho will be obsequiously respectful in the pre-match interviews, like when Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah, when I said he was a specialist in failure, actually, what I really meant was he's one of the greatest managers in the Premier League of all time.
When I said he was a voyeur, I meant he was a voyeur of good football because he loves to play it. But when Mourinho said awful things about Claudio Ranieri when they were both managing in Italy. And then when Ranieri was sacked, of course, he comes out in his CR jersey for the press conference to show solidarity with Ranieri.
Oh, God, he's such a two-faced little cunt, isn't he?
I mean, the thing about the Ranieri thing is never was a more transparent. Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, it is really terrible when a manager wins the league and then gets sacked the next season. That is a disgrace against football. I totally agree. And Claudio Ranieri's sacking is definitely the only example I can think of that to make my point. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so he's going to say nice things about Wenger, for sure. I wonder if they'll get a word from Fergie, who had his own slightly two-faced quality with Wenger, but we'll come to that in the bonus content.
For Patreon backers, we'll be talking about Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
Oh, God, he's such a fraud. That's the shortcut.
Yeah, you don't need to listen. Don't worry about backing us. That's it. That's what we're going to be saying. So I think I've got to predict a United win here. I mean, I don't know. Almost nothing would be surprising at this point. An Arsenal masterclass wouldn't be that surprising, although they're just not really good enough to do that, I don't think. It'd be nice to see Mickey at Old Trafford again. Hopefully it'll be the majority of games that he played at Old Trafford, that level of performance, rather than the odd magical one. I kind of want to just say 3-0 United or something.
Yeah, I don't imagine 4-0 FC will come out. Maybe, maybe they've got so much confidence from that, very good performance against Spurs and another cup final to go out and do it. But no, I'm going to go for a bitty 2-1 win.
Yeah, a win that's won in the details. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. Yeah. I think I actually don't know the numbers, but I'm going to guess that Lukaku scored more goals than Lacazette and Aubameyang put together. Although well, the latter's obviously only had half a season at Arsenal.
Yeah, the slightly unfair thing is that Lacazette's played quite a lot less football than Lukaku, right?
Yeah, but the rejoinder to that is Lacazette. And we said that last summer.
13 goals in 24 starts. That's like only in the league. I think that's only 2-3 less than Lukaku in like 1,000 less minutes or something. So that's a bit of a problem, actually. That comparison does not favour Romelu.
Yeah, I always said Lukaku.
Really love Romelu Lukaku. Like he's just a player that I find him immensely endearing. He's played 800 more minutes than Lacazette and scored 303 more goals.
We also had Player of the Year and Team of the Year and Young Player of the Year announced. Harry Kane was on the Young Player of the Year list.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
He was on the Young Player of the Year, the top 6, the final 6 for the Young Player of the Year. He was on that.
Oh my goodness me!
It is true. I know we have this conversation every year, and it's really boring. But come on, they've got to change that. Like, you only have to be under 24 in the year of the season starting, right? So basically you can be almost 25.
So the nominees are Harry Kane. I can't believe that. Harry Kane, Edison, Marcus Rashford, Leroy Sané.
You're typing a lot, aren't you?
Ryan Sessegnon.
From Fulham.
Yep, but who doesn't play in the Premier League. That's weird. And Raheem Sterling.
Yeah. And Sané won it, and he probably has been the best young player in the league this year. And Mo Salah won the main award, and I think that's fair enough. It was probably him or Kevin De Bruyne, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah.
And the only United player in that PFA Team of the Year?
I mean, we don't have to say this. We just know that the sentence goes...
Chris Smalling.
The only United player in the Team of the Year is David De Gea. We say it every year. Still the same. It's always going to be the same. No one's ever going to be good enough. It's just going to... Did Zlatan get in the Team of the Year last year? Or was it just De Gea?
I really can't remember.
Because these things are meaningless.
No, yeah. Well, they have some meaning in that it's the fellow pros voting for it. So 3 Spurs players in there. I'm looking at the league table and I'm thinking,
So the PFA Team of the Year last season, David De Gea is the only Man United player in the PFA Team of the Year last season and the year before. I mean, worth saying that David De Gea is absolutely exceptional. I mean, United's nominees for Player of the Year came out and I was looking at them and I was going... Oh no, it's happened again. It's happened again. De Gea's our Player of the Year. It's happened again. So
when's he after Real Madrid then?
It's crazy. Like, last season, it's so not... Like, in a way, Ander Herrera just won it so that an outfield player could finally win it. But I really think it's going to be De Gea again this season.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's the most consistent United player.
Who else? I mean, who else could it possibly be?
For the United Player of the Season, Lukaku's clearly in there because he scored 27 goals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
which is a good amount, And he did disappear for a good chunk of the middle of the season.
Yeah,
and it's not actually that many goals in terms of in terms of how many minutes he's played because he's played a lot of football. I mean, it's a lot of goals, but it's not. It's not Ronaldo levels of goals, is it?
No, it's a good, decent return. So I guess you could say that there's that option that it goes to Lukaku, but it should probably just be David De Gea. All right, that's enough for one podcast. We'll see you next week.
All right, come on, you Reds.
Thank you for listening. The Rantcast is a crowd-funded show, which means that we don't take advertising. We rely on people backing us over at patreon.com/Rantcast in order to produce the show. And one of the things that we like to do for people that back us at $5 plus VAT and above is hit them up with some bonus content every single week. This week, we talked about Arsene Wenger. Single-handedly kept them relevant at some points until he single-handedly won us the league. All right, so I'm going to now challenge you, Ed, to say 3 genuinely non-sarcastic, nice things about Arsene Wenger and his career. Like, honest, you don't have to make them up, but like 3 things that you actually genuinely think are admirable from his career.
Okay, well, his teams did play good football at one stage, and I think he did bring a new style of football to England.
Yeah.
Possession-based, attacking. He 3 things. Does it have to?
Yeah, we got 1 so far.
Oh, jeez, this is a stretch. His line about everyone thinking they have the prettiest wife is a genuine worldie as a comeback.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good. And in 2004, he was awarded the Freedom of Islington. There you go, 3 things.
Have you got the Freedom of Islington yet? Are you middle class enough to have the freedom?
I most certainly do not.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.